my name is Kaikun6 and I'm here to do another episode of Playlist Stories. And this one was like a very shocking song, I guess, because I discovered the song just like recently. And I felt like for some reason, just because I discovered recently, that didn't mean it had a memory attached to it. It was so weird. I don't know. I'll probably just explain it, like, maybe a little bit of facts about the song, and then when and where I heard this, other than just today or something, because I felt like I might have listened to this when I was younger, but who knows, but maybe we could just untap that together. But yeah, so let's just get started. I'm a little bit of a frenzy today, because yesterday, one of my nieces from my husband's side of the family decided to stay with us yesterday, and she just left this morning, so it was like lack of sleep for sure, because I was trying to get her stuff ready for today so that way she could be with her grandmother's today, and then my husband had to go to work and this and that, so, and it would just been a crazy hectic week, just to let you guys know. So I'll explain all of that by the end of the video. So just to get this video started, as for the title for the video, Cracked Addict by Limp Bizkit. As many of y'all know, unless this is your first time watching this video, hi, I am a huge Limp Bizkit fan. And I have been since like late 90s, honestly. I felt like ever since my brother introduced me to this band, ever since I was a kid, like I just felt like I was so obsessive of them. And so I felt like, you know, I'm only just a casual listener. Do I know anything about them? Not really, and all that stuff, but that's fine, because I don't need to be like such a big super fan to actually enjoy the songs that they make. And so one of which is this the one for this title, which is Cracked Addict. I did a little bit of research on this song, because when I first heard this song, like, okay, other than just like I recently found it this year, or basically kind of like a few weeks ago, I felt like I've heard this song before. Maybe they might have played it in like on the radio at one point or something. I don't know why, but it kept like bringing up to like this 7-8-year-old girl, maybe even as far as in middle school years, where you know, it was like 2003, and like the album Results May Vary, which is like my favorite album from them from all time, because that album basically describes my entire life, basically. And I have covered a lot of songs on this channel, especially from that one. I still have more to go to cover on that album, so that way you'll be able to get to know me through those songs and stuff like that. And so this song in particular, it was like recorded back in like 2002. It was released not that long after. It was supposed to be for Results May Vary, but for some reason it just never got onto the CD or into the album. It was just like the B-sides of the album, I would say. It was kind of like the songs that they decided to cut out, and I honestly don't know why, because once I researched more about the B-sides of my favorite album, there was like a lot more songs that I have discovered like this year, and I felt like they should have put this on the album, or they should have made like a part 2 of the album. I don't know, it's just it was so surprising, because I was following this page on Facebook, and they had like this playlist on YouTube where they had like all these songs that I just honestly never heard of before, and if I have, it was not on Spotify or anywhere that I could remember. And then next thing you know, I just started listening to them like almost every single day for I don't know how many weeks now. And so Cracked Addict was actually one of them. And the memory that comes to me the most, even though I recently heard it, but then I felt like I've heard it way before, and that was when I was like, I guess like a kid, I want to say. I don't know if I've ever seen that particular episode or not, but I don't know if many of you guys actually know, but like I grew up watching wrestling. Like it was like one of those things that I bonded like with my brother a lot, but then it was mainly with my sister, because she was like, oh, you know, like I'm her big sister. I'm kind of like influencing what she will like or what she will not like. And then later on, she had, you know, developed her own personality, her own likes, her dislikes, her hates along the way. But I always remember that she and we would watch wrestling all the time. And at this one point, they said that, like, well, when I was researching about the song, it was like it played out on a WrestleMania year, I would say. And I don't know which one. It could have been like 19 or 21. I don't remember. But I was like years and years ago. And then they also not only played Cracked Addict, but they also played Rolling. And that's a lot of songs. That's like a song that everybody knows. And so I felt like they know about this song so much because it's been played out so much back in the 90s and then a lot in the early 2000s, but not Cracked Addict. I felt like that didn't have the recognition it should deserve, because when I first heard this song, and I felt like I know I heard this song before, other than just this year, it had to be when I was a kid. And I remember asking my brother at one point, like, do you recognize the song? And then he's just like, yeah, I do. But he didn't know much more about it. He was just like me. He was very clueless. And when he tried to research it, and this was like a time before we had Wi-Fi in the house, or even internet, or even smartphones, we had to research all this on our own, or he had to go to like the library to go Google it or something. I don't know. All he told me was just, it was just a song they just never released. And if they were supposed to release it, they were going to release it like, I don't know, maybe like a few years down the line and stuff. So I was just like, that sounds very accurate. And then all of a sudden it was just like, these songs came out of nowhere, and they were never made it into an album, which I was very disappointed on. And because a lot of those songs were pretty good, and especially this one. And so, yeah. But just to go back to the wrestling part, yes, like, I grew up watching wrestling. Man, I had a lot of wrestlers growing up when I was watching a lot of it. Like, it was like, I know it was like a little bit later in my years, but a lot of like the cable TV I used to watch when I was a kid, it had a lot of reruns. So it had AEW, it had WWE, and then I think it was some other one, WCW for sure. And I don't remember one more, another network, because I felt like it might have been WWF, but I wasn't entirely sure. But anyway, but I went through these phases where I liked one certain network at a time when it came to wrestling, and I felt like AEW and WCW was like my favorite ones growing up. And then once it became to WWE, it was kind of hard for me to get into, up until I got to I guess like kind of like see like these new generation of wrestlers at the time, I would say. And then I started liking them, and then this and that. It was like I was trying to give them a chance, but not really. So I felt like I already found my favorite wrestlers, and that was it. And then all of a sudden, I want to say like their personalities came out more, and that was when I liked them more, and something like that. I don't know. But anyway, I could go on and on in days about this, but me and my sister, we watched them all the time, and it felt like it was kind of like our part of bonding, I would say, trying to get to know each other, and not real, and we were not like those kids. We were trying to reenact those wrestling moves. If anything, it just I guess it like overstimulated like our imaginations or something. I don't know, because whenever I watched wrestling, I just thought it was going to be fun to watch it one day in person, probably either go to San Antonio or Austin, wherever they held these events, in order for me to watch it. I know sometimes they did it in LA and some other places, but there were like really rare occasions. But anyway, I remembered like at one point I was watching WrestleMania, and this was, I think, like, before pay-per-view or something. I don't remember, but I just remembered, like, as a kid, I tuned in to watching some WrestleMania, and I think I was at a cousin's house at this point, and I knew I was, like, a kid back then, because I vaguely remembered even rarely leaving my house for anything, and it was, like, on my dad's side of the family, we went to go visit, like, an uncle of mine, and then, like, his two kids, and then my aunt that was still kind of like married to him at the time. He kind of like grew up with boys, you know. He didn't know nothing about girls, and like my aunt was the one who took over on that department. But even then, she was busy like trying to entertain the adults at her house whenever they had get-togethers or parties, and so she was busy with all the women in the party. And so, like, me and my sister, we were left to, like, ourselves, like, what should we do for boy stuff? And my brother was just like, oh, don't worry about them. They like everything that I do. And so they turned in the TV on the living room, and all I remember was watching Shawn Michaels, and just like I don't remember who was the other wrestler, to be honest, but I just remember Shawn Michaels coming out, and it was like they turned on the TV at a good time where he was doing like his, like his introduction to his fight, I would say. And I wish I could remember the other wrestler's name, but I just remember Shawn Michaels. And then all of a sudden, just, I think I was busy talking to my sister at one point, and then to my cousins that were like, kind of like telling us about wrestling, and we're like, we kind of know a little bit about it, but we don't mind learning more. Turned around, this song apparently came up, and I'm just like, why does this sound so familiar? My brother, I guess, was dumbfounded too, and he was just like, yeah, this band sounds familiar. And then they showed The Undertaker on his motorcycle or something like that. And then I don't know what else. I just remember seeing Fred's face like on the stage for that type of event, and he was actually playing Crack Addict and Rolling, and I was just like, that is just fucking crazy, like that is really cool. My brother and I, we were dumbfounded about that. My sister was just like, I just don't care, I just wanted to see all the wrestling and all that stuff. So since then, we were just like, I don't know, like we were trying to figure out what was going on with this band, because like all we ever heard about from them was like they just came from Jacksonville, Florida, and like they performed together, like this and that. We were kind of like, we had no idea what they were about up until like, they started playing through different countries and some of the cities that we grew up in or we heard about. And then next thing you know, they just came out with a few albums before their hiatus, and then they came back, and then now they're touring again, this and that. And I'm hopefully on August, I'll be able to go to one of their concerts in the one in Dallas. I hope so, at least. And so anyway, so I don't know, like I felt like the wrestling phase was really over for me not that long after, because John Cena came out, and like that was like the first time I've ever seen him on actual like WWE, and I fell in love with him. Like I felt like he was like a really cool, funny guy, and it turned out to be true, because like he came out in certain movies and TV shows and this and that, mainly movies. It was just like, I remember movies, and then when he had interviews with like late night talk show hosts, or just even in general on TV when they interviewed him, or even on podcasts, I was just like, that's just crazy. I like this guy. And then and then not that long after, like I probably had to make another video on this one for sure, because I have one of his albums, or at least the album that he released, and it had like a lot of these songs was just like when he used to be a wrestler, plus what after he was done wrestling and stuff like that. I have that album, and boy, did that album gave me a lot of popularity when I was like in middle school. Maybe a little bit of elementary school, but I remember middle school was kind of like the main one too. But anyway, I have that album. It is with my mother's house and stuff like that. And I don't know, it was just a very interesting era for me, because I felt like wrestling actually brought like other friends, made friendships for me, and I really liked it. And then plus, like, I don't know if any of them were kind of like interested in Limp Bizkit like I was, but not really. They were mostly interested in just the wrestling themselves, and not the actual kind of like intro music whenever they got introduced to their fight. I don't know, it was just interesting. Anyway, but yeah, there are some songs for John Cena that I really liked, and I don't know, it was just like really, really cool. And so yeah, apparently like that phase was over before I knew it, because as soon as I got to high school, I stopped watching wrestling altogether. And then not that long after, I tried to get back into it, but I didn't recognize like any of the new generation of wrestlers, even when I had a chance to talk to Jaws, and he was a huge like wrestling fan too at the time. Like when I first met him, he talked to me about how much like wrestling was like a huge thing for him and his brothers, and I was like, oh yeah, mine too. Like it was just for me and my sister. It was like, really? Okay. And then so like one day he'll come over to my house like after like maybe like a few weeks after we got to know each other and stuff, especially with my friend Choji that introduced him to me. We ended up going to my house. We watched actual like wrestling, and it was like I don't remember what episode it was or something, but all I remember was it was just John Cena, and I told him like, oh yeah, that's my new favorite wrestler, and it's like, really, and it's like, yeah, and so he was like, oh, he's alright, he's really cool and funny, but like he's just not as good as so and so, and I was just like, okay, whatever. But I told him, like, I have the CD that he made. He's like, really? And it's like, yeah. So I showed him the CD. I pulled it out of, like, some hidden CD case that I had the nightstand. Or, I mean, the TV stand that I had when I was a kid. And he looked at it. He was like, I want to listen to this. And I said, sure. Just be careful. Don't scratch the CD because, like, it's just very sentimental to me because like my brother bought it for me, not knowing that if somebody else is gonna like it or not. But I remember the kids that I lent the CD out to. Like I said, it's a whole new other story about that, and I could probably make another episode of that. But yeah. So I felt like this song just like brought up like this love of wrestling for some reason, and it made it even more better once I became an adult. I don't watch wrestling anymore. But I felt like it just made me appreciate more like some songs that have never been like released on albums. They were just out there in the world, especially on the internet, for people to listen to, or they were just in like limited edition CDs that I never got around to like buying. I just knew they exist somewhere, and some people have them in their collections, and yeah. So I just thought that was actually pretty interesting. And so when I was listening to this song now as an adult, I was like, a lot of memories of wrestling came to me for sure. A lot of it did. And I don't know, it felt like it was very sentimental. It was heartfelt and everything, because we actually like grew up to like see some of these wrestlers actually retire at a certain age. They either, like, they went through so much, like, mental health stuff, and it was pretty bad, so a lot of them, either committed suicide, or they died, or something like that. It was a lot of them, and, well, a couple of them that I know, and then the community still celebrates, like, their anniversary and stuff like that, of their deaths, and it's, like, really sad, because like once in a while I'll see it and it's like, oh look, this is like the 17th year anniversary of so and so, or the 18th year of so and so, and it's just like, oh, that's just sad, because I remember watching them on TV, them wrestle some other good other wrestlers, and then next thing you know, like their lives is gone, like, that's just really weird. And so whenever I think of this song, it was just like those moments of me finding the channel on the TV at the time, and then me watching just wrestling with my sister. Sometimes my brother, if he comes home from work early, or it was like one of those days where it was just on reruns, like my brother would come into the room and be like, oh, what are you guys watching now? And I'm like, oh, we're just watching, like this and this. And so he was just like, oh, okay, so he'll just sit down and watch it with us, and then he'll get tired at some point, and then be like, I gotta go in my room, and then either go play games with his friends, or be on the phone or something, just something that my brother would do in his free time. And we were like, all right, whatever. And so yeah, it was just like a really nice memory. It was just mainly like something like a small minute detail just that came from the song that I just listened to a lot as an adult than I did like back in like the early 2000s, that I've only listened to it like maybe once or twice in my life back then. So it was just really weird. I don't know. I remember talking about this with like a couple of friends of mine whenever I tell them like, oh, I've heard this song before, but I'm not sure where. And then they'll be like, oh yeah, I've heard this song too. And then once they give me details of it, I'm just like, I'm gonna go based off of that. And then I'll memorize it even more once I actually do a lot more research. So I felt like, oof, maybe I should cover the results may vary B-side songs that I have listened to this year, and maybe I should cover it more on that. But I do want to cover a lot on, you know, the songs for John Cena, because they also brought up some really good memories for me growing up, especially in elementary and middle school, because I felt like the last couple of years, maybe like 5th or 6th grade for sure, when I really got into like wrestling with my sister, like we were watching it together, of course. My brother bought the CD for me, and then of course, like it just led to like a lot of really good friendships that, you know, I wish they were still around, because like they had a lot of common with me, not just wrestling. It was just like taste in music, foods, and then where some places they've been to, like what they like about it, and this and this. So I felt like I kind of bonded with people a lot more with it. So it was really interesting. So sometimes your own hobbies can actually lead to friends that, you know, they have the same interests as you, and that was pretty interesting. So anyway, I am gonna end the video there. But yeah, like my brain has been frazzled for this week. Like I felt like maybe talking about this would be a little bit better for me, because I felt like this song has been stuck in my head for a long time. And another song that I have been listening to often is When It Rains, also from Limp Bizkit. And that's the song that I've been listening to, like, I don't know how many times now a day whenever it pops up. And I'm just like, I wish this was on an album. Like, I really wish all of these songs were on an album. I wish they made a Results May Vary Part 2 or something like that. But sadly, they never did. But yeah. Like, other than just, like, my niece coming, well, we picked her up yesterday. No. That's a lie. Sorry, because I felt like we were driving around everywhere for like, I don't know how many days, including the weekend, because we went to go shopping, this and this. So I bought some stuff that I'll be able to show you guys hopefully next week, or if not, I'm going to do a crafting video next week. But I have been crafting, but I only got as far as to this, so I'll just give you a sneak peek of these. Like I said before, like, I did these, and they're kind of a little bit okay. I want to say it's like a red, white, and blue stars and stuff like that. But I wanted to see how I can make them look like shooting stars, and the only thing I can do is just like, how am I going to get these 3 wreath forms, attached together? And I felt like maybe cable ties would be a good idea. I don't know. I'm just like trying to see what I can do with these. And then I want to work on more wreath forms. I also want to work on more crafting projects. And then plus, I have bought, like, the items that I have bought. Like, well, my husband also bought them too. But I remember I bought a couple of items that, one of which is going to be an actual crafting item I found on Facebook. Like, I found it through a crafter on there. And I felt like I have those items with me. I just need to go find them. And all it is just certain wood cutouts are turned into like vases. And so I don't know how like how people do it, but I'm gonna do it my way. And when I saw this lady do it, like in her video, I felt like I'm gonna do something similar to that. Maybe I'll do a little bit different. Maybe I'll either paint it or put cardstock paper on there, decoupage something. I don't know. It's gonna come out really pretty. So yeah, and then what else? Other than like my niece actually leaving for today and going over to her grandma's, I'm hoping to clean up for a little bit, because when we went over to my mother-in-law's house this past weekend, we were hanging out with like, you know, like my niece and her family that came from Mexico, and then like my mother-in-law and my father-in-law and this and that. She ended up giving me some clothes I had to rewash because it had a certain smell to them. And then plus, I'm hoping to see if I can clean up a little bit more in the small room other than just what I have now, to start actually putting stuff on Mercari, because I haven't been doing that much lately. I've had offers here and there, and I felt like, okay, maybe I could get some traction going if I uploaded more, but who knows? I feel like I need to concentrate on cleaning this room first. Maybe I can do that. So, but we're going to do it a little bit by little bit, because I also had to do some other stuff for the garage and my porch and this, and so we're going to see what happens anyway. But I'll give you some more updates on that as time passes by. and I am very, very sleepy. I don't know if you guys can tell, like, I haven't, like, slept that well today, because I was mainly, like, worried about my niece not getting her stuff, and then I don't want my husband to make, like, a double trip from his job to go pick up the items here at the house and then take it to her or whatnot. So, anyway, I'm gonna see if I can take a nap a little bit after I'm done cleaning whatever I have to do. So yeah. So, look forward to this finished project of these 3-star, the wreath forms, basically. So yeah. So anyway, hopefully you guys have a lovely day and a lovely week, and I'll see you guys next week for a crafting video or a shopping haul video. Maybe a shopping haul video, but we'll see. So, alright, bye everyone.